another away defeat for Newcastle on the road, this time at Brentford, 3-1. What is going on? How's it, everybody? Welcome back to the Fontainer, and this is getting beyond a joke now. 3 away defeats in a row. Newcastle languishing down in 14th position. This is not a blip. This is a bigger problem than anyone thinks. What is going on? First things first, we have to look at team selection. Anybody in Brentford could have picked that starting lineup. To prepare a game against Newcastle, you know exactly who's going to play. The biggest issue, I think, at the moment we have to speak about is Big Dan Burn. Now, I know midweek against Athletic Club / Athletic Bilbao, he scored an absolutely worldy header, which, you know, will go down in Geordie folklore as one of the best headers in the Champions League we've seen at St James's Park. But Dan Burn is not in the side to score goals. Our front three has been firing blanks the entire season. Harvey Barnes, who's supposed to be the backup left winger to Anthony Gordon, seems to have more about him than any of the big three at the moment. I know Nick Woltemade has been doing really well for us at the beginning of the season, but I am going to pick up on something in his game which I think is hindering Newcastle's forward prowess and attack. But let's talk about Big Dan Burn. Any team worth their salt that has a right winger, in this game it was Otara, is going to be licking their lips going up against Dan Burn. He's very strong, he's good in the air. You can't deny that the guy's giving 120% every single game. But Eddie Howe is hanging the guy up to dry in the Premier League, away from home. Any single right winger is going to have a field day against Dan Burn. Now, on the penalty shouts, on the first penalty case, Otara was given a yellow card for diving, where Dan Burn actually did touch Otara. He went down like he was diving away from a bomb in a Hollywood movie, but the referee didn't give the penalty and gave Otara a yellow card. And then a few moments later, Dan Burn gets stripped by Otara, bursting into the box. I don't think Dan Burn even touches him. But Dan Burn didn't complain once to the referee. I mean, Bruno, the captain, went and complained. They didn't even, I think the VAR spoke and they reviewed it, but I didn't even see Dan Burn touch him. But Dan Burn just went, oh yeah, fine, second yellow, I'm off, trudged off the field, stood there, had some water, and then went down the tunnel. And then Eddie Howe brings on like 3 substitutes, including Aaron Ramsdale, to make it 4. And one of the substitutes, Joe Willock, the very first touch he gets, he just gives the ball away. He just gives the ball away all the time. I don't really know what Willock's position in the team is. Is he supposed to be an attacking kind of number 8 bursting through the box? Is he supposed to be a winger? Is he supposed to be a number 10? I don't know what Joe Willock's position is. Is he supposed to be a central midfielder? He can't pass to save his life. He can't keep possession of the ball. He's not stripping anyone with pace anymore. This is unbelievable, and it's very, very hard not to be negative right after a defeat. But the big picture is Newcastle are languishing down in 14th position, 12 points after 11 games. The only thing which is helping us is everybody's winning and losing against everybody this season, apart from Arsenal. I mean, even Wolves yesterday, I thought, didn't look too bad on the ball against Chelsea, and they got smashed 3-0. But there's never been a performance where I think, oh yeah, we were unlucky to lose that. We deserve to get beaten today. 100% we deserve to get beaten. Let's not talk about West Ham. We deserve to get smashed against West Ham. I don't know if it's the hang-up, or I don't know if it's match fatigue or mental fatigue, but he's playing the same side which played midweek against Athletic Bilbao. Logic would dictate that the players are going to be mentally or physically tired. And why would you not change it? Why would you not change it at all? I mean, Eddie Howe, I love the guy. We're going to love him. He's going to go down as a club legend. There's no doubt about that. But the thing that's bothering me is we keep on doing the same thing and losing. Then he does the same thing at West Ham and we lose. And you think, yeah, he's going to change something up. Anybody who thought, oh yeah, Lewis Hall's going to start today, not a chance. Of course, Big Dan Burn's going to start at left back. If he was part of a central three, fine, fair enough. But he's not. He's playing on left wing. The guy can't bomb on the same way that Lewis Hall does. And anytime he gets caught one-on-one with a defender, it takes 13 years for him to turn the body. The defender just needs to knock the ball past him, and then he is struggling to get that motor going. He's like a steam engine. He takes ages to get moving, and then apparently touches the player and gets a penalty. And look, this is not Dan Burn's fault. He's been asked to play left back. He's tried to do the job there, and he's failing at the moment. But you can't keep a player on the pitch for something he did 7, 8, 9 months ago. And I think Eddie Howe's loyalty and, should we say, stubbornness to change the formation, and is it possibly a lack of innovation in terms of playing a different way? I mean, Woltemade up there, the two wingers, 3 in central midfield, 4 at the back, 4-3-3. You know the way Eddie Howe's going to play. If you're Brentford, you've been preparing for this game for 7 days. You know exactly who's going to play. You know exactly what each player's strengths and weaknesses are, and you can prepare for that the whole week through. West Ham did exactly the same thing last weekend, and Newcastle are losing to Brentford and to West Ham. There is definitely a big problem here on their away form, and it can't just be that Tino Livramento's out, because in reality Newcastle don't have massive injury problems. Johan Wissa, who hasn't kicked a ball in anger, fine. Johan Wissa and Tino Livramento, Lewis Hall coming back from an injury, but that's about it. Other teams have got way more injuries than us. Eddie Howe's got to think outside the box, whether or not we go 5 at the back. I hate to say it, but we can't lose away from home the same way we have been over the last couple of weeks. Even if we start nicking a couple of draws here and there, Malik Chow has been a revelation. Sven Botman on the 3rd goal today. I mean, Malik Chow makes the tackle. Sven Botman doesn't know who's behind him. Thiago nips behind him and puts the ball between Ramsdale's legs to make it 3-1. 3-1 away again at Brentford. On Nick Woltemade, I don't want to give the guy a hard time. He's been leading the line. He's been having to play way more than we thought he had to play. But Newcastle don't have striker number 3. Osula is not good enough to be at a Premier League club, in my opinion. I don't think he is. If you're not good enough to come on or be trusted to play the last 15 minutes in a Premier League, what are you doing here? What are you doing at Newcastle? Send the guy on loan. In the winter transfer window, send the guy to Germany. Let him get 6 months under his belt, even if you need to get 35 or 20 million for him, whatever the case might be. I'd rather have Danny Welbeck sitting on the bench for Newcastle, because you can trust the guy. He's going to nick a goal, and it's not a hit and hope. If you're at Newcastle and you've got a squad number, you should be able to be called upon to do a job. There's too many passengers at this club at the moment. Joe Willock, I'm sorry, but is he a Premier League player anymore? I see all these videos of the guys laughing and joking at the gym, and these midweek kind of viral social media videos, laughing and joking about the shoes that they're wearing, or I saw they were doing an arm strength test. It's not funny, guys. Your job is to perform on the weekend if you're called upon. What has Joe Willock done? He's making up the numbers. It's very easy to be negative right after a defeat, but we've got the international break now. It couldn't have come at a better time for Newcastle, but I think the guys have to do some really serious thinking here. And the answer can't always be, oh yeah, go and buy somebody. We've bought Ramsey from Villa for 55 million. What has the guy done? He might come good at some stage. Wissa we bought for 55 million. The guy hasn't kicked a ball. There's 110 million pound just sitting there doing nothing. We've got PSR problems. We can't afford to make these types of mistakes anymore. And I must say, we have to give Dan Ashworth some credit here, because every single one of the players that Newcastle bought in his tenure have become regular first-team players. Bruno, Botman, Tonali. This is players that elevated Newcastle's level and became regular first-team starters. I mean, Woltemade, was he a panic buy? Was he option G? We perhaps dodged a bullet with Sesko in terms of how he's doing. But this is just, one thing is the players not performing. The other thing is the manager picking the players, asking them to play in a formation, which is just not working. If something's not working, you try and fix it. If it can't be fixed, then you change it. We can't keep on going through the same old thing. When we come back from the international break, we've got Manchester City. Now, that game is at St James's Park. It's on Saturday the 22nd. It's the late kickoff. Who is hopeful of getting 3 points here? You start looking at these games and thinking, at the Premier League table, we are 2 points away from the relegation zone. And a couple of my videos ago, I was thinking when I was watching Benfica, and I said in that video, these midweek games in Europe are absolutely amazing and it's fantastic and it's brilliant. But are we going to be one-hit wonders again? In the Champions League one season, out the next, because it affects our Premier League form so much. We don't have the squad depth to have the Champions League and the Premier League. We don't have the squad depth. Let us not even mention Anthony Elanga. Now, part of me feels for the bloke because when he comes on, you can't say the guy's not trying. He's running around. It looks like he's chasing a paper bag in the wind. But what is his position? Is he supposed to have been the upgrade on right wing to Jacob Murphy? Jacob Murphy, who was not Premier League quality. And Jacob Murphy has been unbelievable. And you would expect him to have raised his levels. Now there's got a bit of competition on the right wing. But Anthony Elanga is a million miles away from being first choice right wing for Newcastle. Was he meant to come in to be Alexander Isak's Swedish buddy? I don't know what he's doing at the club. Again, another 55 million. Newcastle can't afford to just spunk 150 million pounds on players who are on the bench. Bruno, when Bruno came in, first team player, he's now a captain. Tonali came in, one of the best central midfielders in the Premier League. Sven Botman, arguably one of the better central defenders in the league. There's bigger problems here than just us losing away every single weekend. The problem seems to be on recruitment. The problem seems to be on tactics. The problem also seems to be on team selection. So add all those three things together, it's a recipe for disaster. Even if you look at the midweek game against Athletic Bilbao, the last half an hour was dire. It was absolutely dire. Newcastle can't seem to hold the ball. And you often see the midfield players pressing, and you see it's very kind of one players pressing the player with the ball. But no one else has got the gumption to go, okay, well, where's that guy going to go? So I'm going to press the second phase. Or I'm going to press where that player is going to get rid of the ball to. So you're not pressing the player to try and win back possession. You're pressing him so that he can make a dodgy pass. But even if he makes a dodgy pass, no one's pressing the player who that guy's passing to. And it just seems very kind of one-dimensional. And, I wouldn't say there's a lack of intensity, to be honest with you, because that is what Eddie Howe's mantra is. Intense playing, you got to be up for it, etc., etc. I just think the quality of the football is poor. Keeping the ball. I mean, the only one who seems to have really something about them this season, Malik Chow. Yeah, I'd say Kieran Trippier has been one of our best players this season. Obviously, Tonali's done well. Bruno looks knackered. He looks absolutely shattered. I said I was going to mention Woltemade. When Newcastle were 2-1 down and playing with 10 men, they had the ball out wide, and you can see the players were looking to put a ball in the box. Where's Woltemade making a run out wide? You'd think the 6'6" guy, a goal down, 10 men down, in injury time, would be in the centre of the box. I was watching Strand Larsen's game yesterday, Wolves versus Chelsea. He just seems to have more of a number 9 about him, pushing the central defenders back, running behind, creating that space for the number 10 behind him. Woltemade always comes deep, and that just presses the Newcastle's midfield. And our midfielders don't have the eye for pass to either play the ball over or through for any of our wingers. Because Murphy, bless him, hasn't got the best touch and he's not the best passer of the ball. Although he's got a great shot on him and is very good at his crosses, keeping possession is just not in his game. We thought this is what Anthony Elanga was for. The guy's supposed to have rocket shoes. When have we seen Anthony Elanga use his pace? We haven't seen it. Everybody wants him to do well, including me. But I just don't see how Newcastle are going to do anything. We just seem scrappy and clueless and void of any sort of ingenuity and creativity and control. We are a Champions League club playing very much like a team who deserves to be 14th in the league. We haven't been unlucky per se. I don't think the penalty was a penalty. Obviously, if you're a Brentford fan, you're going to say it was. But it'll be interesting to hear what you thought. I don't think that was a penalty at all. But why did Dan Burn not complain to the referee? It's par for the course to think, listen, go upstairs. Are you sure? Make sure you go and check. But, referees read a lot from body language. He didn't even go like this. He didn't even go, no, I didn't even touch him. You just see the guy panicking. Otara obviously goes down as if he's, auditioning for the Hollywood Die Hard 5. But, yeah, very disappointing. Just a short little rant here. As I said before, the international break can't come soon enough. Back to the drawing board. We've got Man City at home, then away at Marseille in the Champions League, then away again at Everton. 11 games gone, something's got to change. This isn't the start of the season, is past us now. We're well into the Premier League season. Eddie Howe has got to make a change. Have a good week. Please give us a like and subscribe, and don't forget,